Thank you for joining us tonight for our first of two scheduled Head of Delegation webinars for summer games. If you could please mute your phone. You can do that by pressing either by using the mute function on your phone or by pressing *6. We certainly do want your questions and your comments, but that'll really help with the background noise. And as you can see on the screen, we are recording this session tonight. What I'd like to do is kind of go through some information, some updates about summer games, and to fill you in as best we can on the status of different things, and then open it up for questions. And so hopefully a lot of this information will be reminders or will not be totally new, but want to make sure that you have it, and we'll dive right in. So we'll cover, we just had the welcome, we'll do some updates and changes and updates for summer games. We'll also talk through some of the registration process and the deadlines, and then, like I say, open it up for questions and answers. So, some summer games changes. Oh, I should also say that this, we'll email the slide deck out to all area leaders and any HODs, heads of delegations who signed on tonight. Any HOD who hasn't signed on tonight, we wouldn't know that they're an HOD at this point. But it will go out to what we call our area director email list and our area director support email list. So a few things related to the sports. For aquatics, it's returning to Towson again this year. It will be off-site in 2016 and 2017. They're going to be redoing or doing some additional construction work on Burdick Hall those 2 years. We are now, actually for the last month or so, have been working on securing a new location for those 2 years during fairly close to campus, and when we have that handled, we'll keep you posted, or we'll let you know. One of the things that aquatics is considering, this is not a decision that's been made, but is considering, is doing awards presentations at the end of each session. If you're familiar with the aquatics schedule at Summer Games, on Saturday they have a morning session, they have a midday session, which is they call the skill session. It's for the flotation races and the 25 free and 25 back, basically for athletes who are, generally speaking, lower ability than a lot of the other athletes that are in that. That's that midsection. Then there's another session in the afternoon, and then there's a single session on Sunday. And what they're considering is doing all the awards presentations for each session at the end of that session, rather than as the session progresses or as each race is finished. The rationale behind that is one of the things that they learned with the shift and the use of UMBC with all the stands and such, is that they were able to get much better use of space, which is really not available at Towson and Burdick, and the overall space that's available, even though there are 3 gym floors, the total usable space is smaller than what we had last year. And so they're looking at different ways that can move forward and make things better based on some of the learnings that they were able to get out of UMBC, at least for the period last year when they were actually able to operate. So that's something they're considering. We need to crunch a few numbers in terms of making sure that the time it'll take to get through the awards at the end of each session is going to be reasonable and not really cause major extensions. But we'll keep you posted on that. The other, it's not so much a change as a statement that it's not changing, is we had considered and looked at an alternative location for bocce, but ultimately, for a variety of reasons we won't go into tonight, bocce will remain at the soccer field, the same location that it's been for the last couple years, and will be there. In terms of Towson University, the biggest significant change is that the University Union parking garage is now back open again, and the entrance to come in is a little different. Part of it was open last year, but the whole thing is open now. When you come in, and as we get closer to summer games, we'll give you better direction on that. It's just a little bit, potentially a little bit confusing getting in there. For families, one of the pieces of feedback that we've gotten from family members is that the information we provide, while very helpful in terms of hotels and dining opportunities and such, particularly around the hotels, and the overall schedule for the games, while very helpful, tends to get out too late to really make use of it, again, particularly the hotel accommodations, and that's mainly because we have historically waited until we have the final set of registrations received, which isn't until mid to late May, and at that point it's typically about 3 weeks or so before Summer Games itself, and then the turnaround to get the information out to the families, they're getting it about 2 weeks before Summer Games. So what we are doing, and we shared this with the area directors at an area director meeting on Saturday, this past Saturday, is following the training registration deadline, which is tomorrow. We will be sending out to all families of athletes, or, well, to anybody who we have an email address for. We won't be doing the hard copy at this stage, but whoever we have an email address, we'll be sending out information on available housing and such, but with a clear statement that it's going out to all athletes who are registered for games that are offered, or sports that are offered at Summer Games, and that it does not, receipt of this does not mean that you're that this athlete has been selected for Summer Games, and that selection is done through by the area. There's really no other way to get the information out in a clear way far enough ahead, and again, after some discussion and some concerns voiced by the area leadership, we'll reiterate that statement, make it repeated within the message to make sure that it's as clear as possible with that. And again, it addresses that issue that or concern that we've received from many, many family members. Again, they appreciate the information, but it just comes to them too late to be used. And then along with families, we are looking for family members to assist with the family hospitality areas. For those of you who know, we have had historically at most of the Summer Games sports venues, definitely at aquatics and athletics, and at the other venues as well, as our pool of volunteers and support have been available. We've had family hospitality, and we want to continue that and expand upon that, and we'd very much like to have family members serve in staffing that or running those locations. Family members able to talk to other family members really makes a big difference, as opposed to having a volunteer who doesn't have that familial connection with the organization. So Debbie Credito and Susan Holland, who head up our families program related to the competitions, will be reaching out as well to folks. So just be aware of that. If you can support that in the sense of letting family members know that it's a useful thing to do, and it's helpful, and it's enjoyable. They will be sharing with them also that looking to schedule those shifts or those opportunities for family members there, so that they can still have the opportunity to watch their son, daughter, brother, sister, whatever the family affiliation is, still be able to watch the athlete and their family compete. So, and also for opening ceremonies and the block party, one of the pieces of very strong feedback we received about the block party was, in general, the idea is a good idea, but the execution last year was lacking, particularly that there was not a significant number of or amount of opportunities for activity for athletes who were there. Basically, they got up there, then the block party is on Friday, leading up to Summer Game or to the opening ceremonies. They got up there, and there wasn't a whole heck of a lot to do. So we have a new person who is coordinating this. It's many of you may know Jane French, who's been involved with us for a while. She actually works at Towson and is already engaged in getting a number of groups on the Towson campus to be involved. We're lining up sports clinics, so there's a fair amount of activity, some art activities. Again, they would be age appropriate. carnival-style games, several other things along those lines. And those activities would also be available for the Olympic Park, which is what we call the social activity on Saturday night. In addition, on Saturday night, not on for the block party, again at a suggestion from some area personnel, we will be having a movie night. I can't tell you what we'll be playing at this point, but it will be located in one of the classrooms right off of the Towson Center facility. There's some, you may be familiar with them, they're classrooms that are behind the ticket booth that are there, and so that allow for an opportunity for some quiet time for athletes who are looking for a more scaled down activity. The theme for the Saturday dance is Sports Heroes. It's a slight variation on the theme we use with the Winter Games dance that was very popular, and since that was more of a select audience where we want to expand it to a larger group, it allows anybody to wear the uniform of their favorite athlete, or for that matter, our Special Olympics athletes are sports heroes, so they could wear their own uniform if they wish to, of course at your discretion, given that they may be wearing it the next day. But it really opens up the opportunity for athletes to participate and not have to go to any significant expense of creating or getting appropriate attire for the event. And then also we shared this with area directors on Saturday as well, we are considering, again the decision has not been made, serving dinner at the Friday night block party. The cost of the dinner is included in the registration fee for the overnight delegation members, so there's no cost for them. For those who are day of delegation members, just as would be the case if they wanted to eat dinner in the dining hall on Friday night, there would be a cost associated with that, and there would be tickets that would need to be purchased. We would need to have those tickets purchased in advance. We'll give you an opportunity to place an order for that and distribute them accordingly. There is no requirement that your day of athletes or delegation members purchase tickets to eat at the block party, but it is there, that opportunity would be there. Given the potential volume that could occur with trying to sell tickets on site, and the possibility then of running out of food, since they won't be right at their kitchens, and a lot of this will have to be prepared in advance, it would be, we're only going to be able to do this selling tickets in advance. In addition, we're looking to have some food vendors on site, as I believe we've had in the past, for additional purchases, and to have for family members and others who maybe are not included in the dinner service that's available there. This, I think, combined with the additional activities at Block Party, will really make for an exciting and energetic and a great lead-in to summer game, or to the opening ceremonies for summer games. So we'll keep you posted on that. Then we'll be making that decision probably within the next few days, and we'll get back to you. We recently got the pricing from Towson. It is a little bit more expensive than is the standard meal service in the dining hall, and we're just weighing out whether we can make it within the budget that we have. I should also say that the meal would be a little different than what we have typically served in the dining hall. This would be more of a what they're calling a tailgate option. It'll be hot dogs, hamburgers, veggie burgers, and several other things along that kind of a line. We would definitely have seats, not seating for 1,200 people, but seats for probably about 300 to 400, since we would expect groups to be rotating in and out as they come, they eat, and then they go participate in the activities. But there definitely would be seating available for folks there. Then, in terms of the registration process, most of this is reminders for folks. The registration deadline, I hope everybody knows, is tomorrow night. So please do. We did a quick check, and it looks like most areas have what I would guess is most of their entries in to the 2015 training for their summer game sports. If you aren't completed, that needs to be completed by tomorrow night. On Friday, I will be advancing the entries into summer games, basically taking everybody who you have registered at that point in time and transferring them into summer games in their particular sports, as has been stated and has been the case for quite some time, at least the last couple years. Anybody who is not registered by the 23rd, while we certainly do want to get them registered and listed as training, and so we can keep track and have give your area credit, if you will, for having that additional athlete participating, if they are registered in GMS after the 23rd, they would not be eligible to compete at summer games. I know of only one area that has gotten any kind of an extension on that deadline, and we'll deal with doing whatever additional advancement for that area is necessary at a later time. And that was a unique situation that area faced. But again, that's standard, or has been standard policy for quite some time. We will be again advancing on Friday, and then GMS will be open to the areas no later than Monday the 27th. If there's anybody on the call who is a GMS manager or handles the GMS for your areas, just to in advance avoid confusion, when we create summer games or create an event, anybody can go in and take a look in there, but until we open it up to you or your areas, all you'll see, I think, is like 3 lines of it. You maybe can see events and a couple other things. You can't see your delegations and such. That's not something that's wrong with your account. Nothing's broken. It's that we have not opened that games up to you to do any editing, deleting, registering for events, that type of thing. So that will happen. So if you go in on Saturday or Sunday and we haven't opened it up yet, again, it'll be no later than Monday. It might be earlier. But if you go in and you can't do anything in there yet, don't be concerned. That will be taken care of, or that'll be open as soon as we open them up. We will also be sending out to the areas a list of all your registrants for summer games on Monday, the 27th. I have a slide of the summary of the deadlines. One of the things I didn't put on this one is just a reminder that while I'm sure no one is having any athletes or any volunteers participating without their valid medical or their valid or up-to-date volunteer application on file, we do need to have any of them that are outstanding and that are missing from our system received no later than May 4th. Again, that's repeated, and that's the date that's been out there for quite some time. Excuse me. And that just gives you a little bit of time if they've turned in their updated form at practice, gives you time to scan them and get them in. And again, coordinate that through either your GMS manager or if you're your area director, or if you have a designated volunteer or medical coordinator, that person would be taking care of that. As a reminder also that all competition entries are due by the competition registration deadline, which is May 18th. By that date, you need to have all of your athletes and events, all of your events having scores for track and for aquatics. It's their entry times or their entry distances. For bocce, it's their assessment score. For cheer, I don't know that there actually is a score, so that may be irrelevant. And for softball skills, there is an initial qualifying score. For the teams, there really is not. In addition, all softball teams need to turn in their assessment to Nick Anderson by tomorrow night as well. We will then take care of, just as we have for other team sports for the last year or so, we will take care of entering those rosters in. One of the reasons we do it for team sports like basketball, soccer, softball, so on down the line, is that we have, for the last several years, prior to instituting this, have had trouble getting firm rosters in GMS and knowing who is on what roster. And this, while it's extra work on the part of headquarters, it's worth it because it solves, or seems to have resolved that problem. So we'll continue to do that here. We can reassess that in the future. Also by the 18th, as is noted there, all chaperones and can also put in all and HOD, if they're not in there already, need to be in GMS at that point as well. If you have a unique situation or a special situation, such as with staff from a group home agency where you don't know who is handling that, we can handle that. We can deal with that. work that out with your regional sports director, Melissa, Nick, or Sam, whichever one applies to you, and we'll deal with that. But other than something like that, all your chaperones do need to be in by then. You then have until May 25th for any entry score update for track and aquatics. There really isn't a need to do that for any other sport. To do that, you will after the 18th, potentially the morning of the 19th, all GMS entry by or modifications by areas will be locked out, as again has been the standard process. You'll still be able to go in and run reports and look at stuff, but you will be locked out from making changes and doing any edits. So in most cases, any entry score updates that you're submitting after the 18th, you'll need to send to your regional sports director, and he or she will then do the updates for you. Again, this is for improved scores only, and this is not an opportunity to make changes to events in which the athlete or whatever is entered. It is strictly for improved scores. And again, you can send them in to them via email. And then note, we talked about this briefly with the area directors on Saturday as well. A reminder that for overnight delegation members, the registration fee is $60, and as you may or may not know, that $60 fee covers roughly half of the lodging and meal costs of that person. Doesn't cover it all. It covers roughly half of that. Doesn't cover any of the costs or apply to any of the charges that we have for anything else associated with summer games. It strictly covers roughly half of the lodging and meals. There is no fee for day of delegation members. But just as a note, the lunch cost for day of delegation members is roughly $17 a person. We need to use, and they do a very good service, generally speaking, Black and Gold Catering, which is the catering company for Towson. We are required to utilize them for all of our meals, and that's the cost of a box lunch is about $8.50. So that's where that comes from. The reason I point that out is we've had a challenge in some cases, with an increasing situation of the number of chaperones and coaches compared to the number of athletes and delegations. The standard expected ratio that we've had all along has been roughly 3 or 4 athletes for each coach or chaperone. It's been creeping up to the point where I did a check on summer games. I know at winter games we actually had a situation where there were more coaches and chaperones than there were athletes for at least one delegation. But I checked for summer games from last year, and there were several areas where it was a 2-to-1 or 1.5-to-1, where 1.5 athletes per chaperone. And it's not that big of a challenge in terms of us to accommodate them, but that really that throws our budgeting way out of kilter. And so one of the things that we will be doing is if there are any area that has a significant deviation, and I'm going, if it's more than 2-to-1 as a ratio, or 2.5-to-1, we're going to have to charge you more, and we're going to have to charge you for the day of additional coaches and chaperones. I understand you wanting to have them there and have them in many cases so that they have lunch and so on down the line, but it's really crept up and gotten significantly challenging over the last couple of years, to the point where it's come close to busting the budget. One meal doesn't sound like a lot, but when you add it all up across the board, it does become a significant problem. So so we'll let you know, but please do look carefully with that. That also means when it comes time for your registration deadlines, be sure to delete out the coaches and chaperones who will not be attending, so that we know that. But we will be looking at charging that back, and that would be for any of those additional individuals above, say, a 2.5-to-1 ratio. You'll be charged the full fare. So it'll be, we'll cost it out once we get the final cost from Towson for all the meals and lodging space, but it'll be roughly in the neighborhood of $120, $125 for each additional overnight delegation member, and it'll be somewhere between $17 and $20. Again, once we get the rough, that $17 is from last year. for lunch. So somewhere in that neighborhood for each of your day of coaches and chaperones who are above the standard ratio that we would expect. That said, if there is a true special need or a special circumstance, talk to your regional sports director, and we can certainly make adjustments for that. As an example, if you have several athletes who have more challenging physical needs, and you truly need a one-on-one for several of them, and it can't be accommodated within the general 3 or 4 athletes to each chaperone kind of across the board ratio for the sport or for your delegation, we can likely accommodate that. But again, we'd want to know a little bit about that before we go and do that, because again, it's becoming a budget buster for us. And that takes money away from other things that we can do for our athletes, and so we'll have that. Additionally, depending upon how what the housing is, we may not, for those additional folks that would be above that ratio, we may not be able to house them, period. There is not all of the housing that's on Towson campus is available to us. We only have 2 of the towers in the Glen Towers this year, as we did last year, because they're doing renovations and cleaning. They clean the towers before we get there and after we leave. But this is a more thorough industrial level cleaning. Similarly, we don't have all the facilities over at the what they call West Village, which is where PACA and I forget what the other name of the dorm that we've used over there, where they're located. So we may not be able to accommodate that. With that in mind, we will be asking you, and we will give you an email prompt to provide this, is we'll need to know by May 4th if there is any kind of a significant change in the number of beds that you used in 2014 and how many you expect in 2015. If there's any kind of significant swing, we are positioned to handle all of the overnight accommodations that we handled last year. We do understand that with aquatics being back on campus, that may change or have a bit of a swing in terms of the number of rooms that people will wish to get. We just want to make sure that we can work with Towson, who is an excellent partner for us in this, and really bends over backwards, but need to make sure that we work with them to handle this. This is not preempting anything you're doing with Jane, but we need sort of at a more global level a sense of what's happening so that we can make those a proper things. So then one other thing. Many of you in registration, the last component in registration, one of the things that's worked relatively well, and I just want to make sure people are aware of the opportunity, but what we need to do to make use of it is advancing entries from a qualifier to summer games. We have within GMS, if a qualifier has been held or has been managed within GMS, examples would be Montgomery County's track meet and bocce meet, the Loyola Aquatics meet, Carroll County's spring games and Baltimore City's spring games were all done in GMS. Several others, Anne Arundel's track and bocce meet this coming weekend. So on down the line. A number of the area competitions are done within GMS. We can copy those entries, and if the results have been keyed in, we can actually copy them with the results from those games and move them into summer games, or for that matter, one of the things we also do is move them between to the next qualifier and such. We can definitely do that. It saves your GMS manager a ton of work. It really makes it a lot easier, assuming that the athletes or the teams are in the same events at summer games as they were in the qualifier. But in order to make that work, we need to kind of have some parameters around which to do that. So you need to submit requests, so in order for that to happen, the results from the qualifier need to be in by May 11th. If the results aren't available by that time, we can still do the advancement for you and advance it either with a blank score or advance it with the entry score that you had at that time. Of course, you would then need to absolutely have to update that based on whatever the results are, and you can do that manually. It still saves time from creating or putting the athletes into the events and creating the teams and so on down the line. We are only going to do this at the request of an area director or a GMS manager. We had somebody, I forget who it was earlier this season, not surprised that we didn't automatically advance folks. We just don't do that because we don't know that that's what somebody wants us to do. So if you can send it in writing, it's just an email to your regional sports director, including what is the source event, what is the specific event that you want. So it could be that you want them taken from the Montgomery County May 3rd track qualifier to advance in, or whatever it is. We are not going to be in a position of taking these 5 athletes from this event and these 5 athletes from this other event. It's in order for this to be working for us, and for us not to screw it up, quite honestly, given the volume of what we deal with here. It needs to really be an all or nothing, and then you go in and make the edits for you. We need to know as well what sports are going to be advanced or moved over into summer games. If it's a one-sport event, of course, it's kind of obvious, but in some cases it's a multi-sport event, and we need to know which ones, and it can be all of them if you want. We'll also need to know whether you want the qualifying score or the final scores carried over, so that we know at that point. We aren't going to do these as the requests come in. We actually will wait, because it does take a little bit of time, and there's some time savings by doing several of them at once. So we're going to ask that all requests for advances into summer games be done or received by your regional sports director no later than May 11th. On the 11th and or the 12th, we will then do the advancements and let you know when it's completed. It is still your responsibility to go in and check the entries after they're advanced and make any adjustments by May 18th. Do not. And if your GMS manager is not on the call right now, make sure he or she knows. Do not let us do the advancement and then not check it. I guarantee you there will be problems, and I guarantee you there will be errors, and if you aren't catching them at that point, we likely will not make them later, because this is a key step. We're being really clear here. You need to do this. Then one other thing, because this will, if you don't follow this advice, this will cause the advancement to fail, and we will not be able to go back and redo it, because you'll need to go, the time won't be there. But while we will have the athletes or the individuals in summer games, do not put them into their individual events until after for that sport, until after the advancement is done. What will happen is, if you go in, it won't carry over the scores, if that's what you're thinking. If I, most of you know I'm a track coach as well, if I put Devon McNeil in the shot put and the 100 and the standing long jump, but I don't put any scores in when I advance him from another event, it's not going to add the scores. All that it does, if it goes in and there isn't, if that event is not listed already for the athlete in summer games, it'll add them into that event and put the score in that I tell it to, whether it's the qualifying score or the final score. If it gets there and it sees Devon McNeil and sees that he's already in the 100-meter dash, it'll ignore it and go to the next one. It won't advance them. So don't put them into that event until into their individual events until after the advancement is done. And that's again why we want to be sure we have it all in by May 11th. So you're received, at least the ones that we've got, so your GMS managers and folks have a good at least 5 or 6 days to go through and check all that out. Okay? And again, we'll send this to you. You'll get the slide deck, and we also will be sending out a registration reminder memo early next week once we open up the games. That'll have all this in there. Some reminders, most of these everybody should know about, and Anna has, in this first one, which didn't appear on this chart originally, has reminded folks, and hopefully all of those are in at this point, but the cheerleading rosters were due on the 20th. Roster for each cheerleading team along with their designated level were due to Anna. Anna, she gave a reminder at the area directors meeting, and I know has spoken directly with most of the cheerleading coaches. The training registration deadline, again, is tomorrow. Need to get into GMS as we've talked through there, all of your folks. Team rosters are due also for softball on the 23rd, and assessments And again, we will go ahead and add them into GMS for you. At that point, your rosters are set, because at that point you should already be, or very shortly thereafter, be playing games and playing competitions. And you can't be changing your roster. It's not fair to any of the other teams if you're changing rosters as you go through and do that. Also following the 23rd, hopefully by Friday, if not by the latest by Monday, Nick Anderson will be sending out, Nick's our staff lead for softball, will be sending out the names of all the head coaches for softball, their contact information, and their ratings, their team rating from the assessment that was sent in. As I mentioned before, May 4th is the last date to turn in your updated or any outstanding medicals or volunteer apps on the report I mentioned that will go out no later than April 27th. That'll have on there what's missing, if there's any forms that are missing for folks, or what their expiration dates. As a reminder, by that May 4th date, your medicals for all of your teams, all of your players, must be valid through June 7th. They can't expire in that window there. You have to have a valid medical in, and again, this has been the policy, I think, for 2 years now. But it needs to be good through the state competition, the end of the state competition, in order for it to be counted as valid for that event. Similarly, by the 4th of May, you have to have all your volunteer apps that are in, and those have to be valid through May 7th. We had stated earlier in previous communications that your coach certifications, which are we're actually adhering to this year, a long-standing policy, long-standing with Special Olympics for decades, and Maryland is now enforcing it. We had originally had down that May 4th would be the deadline for that. We are going to go ahead and give a blanket extension to everybody until May 22nd, to make sure that we've got plenty of time. We will provide to you no later than the 27th also any of your head coaches who maybe do not have their certifications up to date. A big commendation to most areas and to coaches in terms of just the number of folks who have been going through and taking the trainings and getting their certifications up to date. Again, it's something that's really been required all along, but we've never enforced it and never emphasized it, so kudos to that. And then again, the two other deadlines I mentioned, the 18th of May for your competition registrations, team rosters, events, scores, so on down the line, and then also any athletes or partners who don't have events or are not going to be coming will need to be deleted. I should also point out that, backing up, after May 4th, if there is an athlete that's still in GMS, or a volunteer, coach, unified partner, whatever, who is still in GMS but does not have their paperwork in, they will be deleted following May 4th. Need to have them in. We're giving you plenty of time on this, and if you have any questions, your GMS manager can go in and check on those dates now. On the 18th, following the 18th, any athlete or unified partner who is not in an event will be deleted from summer games as well. Again, that's a standard practice, standard policy with that. And then again, your last date to update scores will be May 25th. That really only applies to aquatics and athletics, and it's only improved scores. So that said, I'm sorry, and this is just a reminder, pre-competition webinars, these were shared with you several weeks ago, at least to all area directors and area director support following a webinar we had for sports-related items. Your coaches also receive these directly for their particular sport. And then also just a reminder that there's an HOD meeting webinar on the 21st of May and the live HOD meeting for you guys on Thursday, June 4th, live and in person at Towson University. It will be in a different room. We're going to be using the Lock Raven room, which is where we had the Saturday night HOD meeting. That seems to work better from a sound and just a functional standpoint. But we'll give you a reminder of that prior to the June 4th date. Now, that said, open it up for questions. Note on here, these are your regional sports directors there. If you aren't familiar with it, we restructured somewhat a few months ago so that rather than having everything sports-related come through me, which is a non-functional design, you now have your point people of Nick Anderson for Southern and Eastern Maryland, Melissa Anger for Central and Western Maryland, and Sam Hodap for the Baltimore area. They are the people you should be going to, and they'll pull me in. It's not that I don't want to talk to people, it's just I can't have, and I have failed miserably at trying to keep up with communications on every sport from 18 areas. It just doesn't work. So these folks are there for those purposes. And ignore the thing there about state or regional bowling tournaments. I copied this slide from another slide deck, and I'll edit that before it goes out to you. So that said, open it up to any questions. If you have muted your phone and you have a question, please do unmute it. And I can't promise I'll have an answer to every question, but I'll do my best. So, any questions?
I have a question. This is Dottie.
Hi, Dottie.
Hi. My question, you mentioned about forwarding the people from local to the state competition or to other qualifiers.
Yep.
I have probably 100 people in track up here.
Uh-huh.
I'm not bringing, there'll probably be maybe 10 going to qualifiers and then to state. So do I forward them myself, or do I delete the other folks?
You have a choice there. And again, we'll do what you ask us to do.
Uh-huh.
Like
if I would go through and delete or scratch all the ones that are not going, then you could forward the remainder?
Well, what we don't want to do, you don't want to delete them from the from your existing games, but here's the two choices that you have are you can either have me advance everybody,
yeah,
or you can have me or us not advance them, and you go ahead and key the ones in. What you may want to do, because we can advance, if you have your folks into the Washington County track meet is later, is you can go by what's in the Washington County meet and advance those into summer games, because that's on the 9th, and that'll still give you time. That might be the easiest thing to do.
Can I enter those myself then into?
No, we can advance all of them into. We can advance everybody from your the May 2nd meet. It'll probably have to be without your scores, or with your qualifying scores, without your final scores. You can advance all of them into the Washington County meet, and then you just go through and delete them. If you don't know how to do it, I can show you. There's a really quick way using the check boxes.
I know there's one that says scratch them or delete them. I didn't know if that would a check.
Yeah, well, if you can go through, if you show check boxes, I'll tell you what. Rather than for everybody who's online to sit through this, I can walk you through it later.
Okay.
You can get rid of 100 people in 2 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's not. You don't have to open up each one. It's dramatically quicker.
Okay.
Other questions? Okay. Well, thank you much. As a reminder, our next webinar will be for Heads of Delegations will be on May 21st. We'll send a reminder out with that at that time as well. And thanks again for spending about 40 minutes with us tonight. Hope it's been helpful. And please do, again, we'll send the slides here. You are welcome to share them with whomever. We'll also, the recording will be posted. And when we send the slides out, either later tonight or tomorrow morning, we'll include the link to the webinar recording so that anybody who wasn't able to attend, or if there's somebody else from your area who wants to enjoy this scintillating presentation, can do so. So again, thanks much, and enjoy the rest of your Wednesday evening. Have a great night.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks.
Good night.